Evening. So I'm going to do a video on, I don't know if I've done this one already, but sometimes I'll probably say something different than I did last time. I don't plan any of these things, it's just I just ad-lib it. So I want to do one on emotional intelligence, which you'll find quite a few autistics are high on this scale. Emotional intelligence. Some might not be, but I'm one of those ones that is high with emotional intelligence, and it for quite a long time, probably for 48 years. Well, when I started to perceive things when I was quite young, it's maybe not 48, maybe when I started to understand things a bit better when I was about 3, 4. And my emotional intelligence has been quite high, and compared to the people around me, and for then my adult years, you might find you recognise this as well. For my adult years, then I've been quite angry at society, angry at the people around me, but I wasn't openly angry with them actually myself. I was one of those ones that withdrew rather than outwardly angry, because my understanding of behaviour, certain things not, but a lot of things I could understand that it just wasn't kind or logical or the right things to do, and I was angry for a bit. I think probably added to the injustices I felt from growing up, and from being misunderstood a lot. But then as I grew into an adult and I've been in situations and trying to make friendships, it was painful and virtually impossible. This is before I knew I was autistic. I didn't understand why people behave like they did or why they do at the time. I was confused, and I kept thinking for ages, okay, it's me, something wrong with me, but why? So I used to just try and go out and be even harder to be as kind as I could, as good as I could, to be easy and everything. It never worked. Nothing ever worked. It didn't matter what I did. Someone was going to be picking on me or unkind or, I don't know, just all the time. I didn't really get it because it's just not what I would do. My first instinct is not to be unkind to someone. But it just isn't, and if I am, then I'll think about it for a while and try and work out why that's happened and then rectify it. So it's a common conversation. I had the conversation 3 times today about that, why we find it hard to make friendships, sustain them. And the people I was talking to, all of them are emotionally intelligent, all of them. So I was trying to say to them about my experience and why I've stopped being angry. And it's so nice not to be angry. I'm still sort of, I would say, isolated in ways because the neurotypicals around me outnumber the autistics or neurodiverse that I know around here. So it's not like I get on a wavelength with someone, although what I can do is transition. I transition to a neurotypical brain, but I won't do any of the games or unkindness or picking on. I can't get involved in that. So, or lies, the white lies and stuff. I can't do that and just randomly be unkind to someone. You know, when I answer the phone for work, just randomly take my feelings out on someone, like I do find happens sometimes. But I'm not upset by that now really at all. That used to really bother me before, but now I'm not really, because it lacks emotional intelligence when someone does that. And I actually feel sorry for someone who behaves that way to other people, in a way, because I wonder if they don't know what they're doing, and then if they do, then it's not very bright to behave that way. I try to talk, when I talk to people, I try to say to them about the emotional intelligence gap, and it was about a year and a half ago when I did my list of differences between neurotypicals and autistics, and I become to realise about the behaviour, and I stopped taking it personally. Now, I know not all neurotypicals are the same. I know they're not all the same, but there is a vein that runs along where there's this need to impress, there's this need to have status, there's this need to be what they will deem as successful. There's sometimes a lack of respect for people in a lower position in a job than a higher one. There's a hierarchy, there's gameplay, there's passive aggressive behaviour, and I mean, I have never worked anywhere that doesn't have this. And for autistics, it can be very difficult walking into these working environments where this non-logical behaviour is occurring, but because of I believe, this is my theory, it's based on nature and the survival instinct and tactics to be better than the other person, and almost that person is not a person to them in their mind, it's about survival, and they will get ahead no matter what. And I've never worked anywhere where this doesn't happen. I haven't worked anywhere where grouped bullying goes on, light or heavier. I haven't been anywhere. Even when I volunteered in a charity shop, there was bullying going on and ganging up. Neurotypical behaviour, which is something autistics, I think you'll rarely find one that will do that. It can happen, I've seen it, but not as much. It's something alien. So it's like, but it also shows and tells of a lack of emotional intelligence, people that will do that. And I think for some reason, some of us autistics have a higher intelligence, and this is why we can't understand it and we wouldn't do it, and it's just not within our nature to do that sort of thing. And this is why you might find when you go into these situations, you don't understand why one day you go in and your boss is nice to you and the next day they're not, because neurotypicals tend to fluctuate. But it might not be about you, it's more about, well, it's not about you, it's about them, and how they don't really seem to be able to deal with things the same way that we do, and then they want to take it out on someone. We can see that injustice because we pick up on that sort of thing very fast. Also being ungenuine, because I know they talk about us masking, but I know that neurotypicals do, because they put on personas rather than be their genuine selves. And I've seen people put on personas where, because it works better for them, and it's a form of manipulation, whether or not they realise it is, to get what they want, to get higher on the scale, to get more popular, to get more options, and get better positions in workplaces, and to do with their ego, get the guy they want, get the woman they want, get the money, the car, the house, everything they want. So there's this form going on, which neurotypicals, I think, do a lot more than autistics do, and then we walk into these situations and we don't get it, we don't understand that, and this is why we find it so hard to go into these workplaces where bullying takes place, and what we kind of deem as would have been in school, which most of us have probably suffered with because of our difference, going to the workplace as an adult, it's a bit shocking. I was talking to 3 people today about this, about their experiences being similar to mine, and wherever they've been bullied, and so have I. Yoga classes, choir, rollerblading, everywhere I went, I've been bullied. Because I refused to take part in gossiping and being unkind about someone, unless I really thought they should be. Somebody needs support to talk about somebody who I do think, yeah, well, their behaviour doesn't add up and it's not good. So I wanted to talk about the fact that it's, if you recognise this could be partly you. Emotional intelligence is a good thing, but it's a difficult thing when you're surrounded by people who haven't reached that level. What you might find is that you get on better with older people because they've lived more. So I've always got on better with older people who are like 20 years, 30 years older than me, than people my age. And then I also get on great with kids because they haven't got that point in their brain yet where they've decided about achieving, about hierarchy, about being one upon someone. And the children, they just play. There is points where they do it, but there are kids who don't. So you might recognise this. It's very common. I just want to talk about emotional intelligence. I want you to realise that some of the behaviour you see around you isn't good, isn't right, and it just feeds into our society this negative sort of bullying. Unfortunately, when one person bullies someone, it passes on to somebody else that day. This is why I will never do it, because it's just not good. It feels bad, and it's wrong. But when somebody does one nasty thing, it ricochets out into society, and logically this is ridiculous because it creates a multitude of problems within society. Someone you might be nasty to might go home and have a go at their kids or some family member or something, because you did something. You know what I mean? And I know we shouldn't be in control of other people's actions, but because society can be lacking intelligence in that way, it will go out and ricochet to people. So I try to do as much kindness as I can and not create that sort of thing going out. I'm not perfect, but I attempt to do the right thing.